one take, no editing, one background song. Let's talk about Persona 5. I fucking hated this game. Alright, here's the short of it. If you don't want to watch however long this video is going to be, it's probably going to be like, I don't know, 10 minutes? Just the good things about the game are good. I don't think this should have been like game of the year. I don't think this is the game of all time. I think what it does well, it does really well, and some of the things that people say it did well, they did really fucking bad on. One of my biggest cons is the fact that I think, in my personal perception, the game had big shoes to fill, in the sense that like everybody fucking jerks off Persona 5, or they like vocally hate it. I don't really think it's like, I don't think it's the worst game I've ever played, but I also don't think it's the best, and I don't really think it should deserve like really either of those reputations. I think it's solidly like mid to good enough. Okay, my rating, okay, I'd put it like a 6.8 out of 10. I think, I don't know, I did the math later. Alright, here's the background. I have never played Persona. I have started Persona 4, I've started Persona 5, and I did not want to set up PPSSPP, the PlayStation Portable Vita emulator. The three people that stand out is Mr. Stein. We all love our Mr. Stink. He loves Violet. He loves Persona. He doesn't own the mask anymore because I asked to borrow it, and what I would have done is I would have put up a webcam and you could have watched me record the video like that, but he doesn't have the mask anymore, it broke. We have It's Not Haru, or Hiranum, or Haru, David, we have David. His girlfriend likes Haru. I know this because I called him and I said, David, can you let your girlfriend choose who I date? And she chose Haru. And then last but not least, we have my ex from before/during COVID. His main personality trait was he wanted to have sex with Aegis. So yeah, that was really like my only knowledge of the Persona series was like through osmosis through these three, and also p5r, because I fucking love fighting games. So here's about me. I love to yap. I think my opinions are important, and I can commit to the fucking bit. I did not want to play P5. Hold on, I didn't put on this fucking song. I can commit to the fucking bit, and I did not want to play Persona 5. And every time I've started this game, I've started this game like 4 or 5 times, and I never got past like maybe 1 or 2 palaces, and then everybody's like, oh, if you just push through the next part, that's like when the game really kicks into gear, or like, oh, you know, the first one gives you the motivation to finish. I didn't feel any of that shit, I'm gonna be honest. So to finish the game, to motivate myself, I decided I was gonna have to roleplay. But you know, I wasn't even gonna play this game at all. But here's the thing. I bought a PS5. I spent $450 on Facebook Marketplace getting this. It was a whole saga. I had to argue with scammers. I had to argue with children. This one child tried to scam me on Facebook Marketplace for buying a PS5. So I went and found his father on Instagram, and then he gave me my money back. I did not want to play Persona 5. The thing was, I need to get value for the console that I bought, so I could play one video game. I have 3 video games downloaded on my PlayStation 5. Okay, I have Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I have Yu-Gi-Oh, and I have Fortnite. And I bought this console so I could play Final Fantasy 16, and I said I gotta buy more. So it was fucking Prime Day last summer. I bought a bunch of video games, and I got Persona 5 on sale, which is good because I wouldn't pay more than $20 for a game that's 8 years old now. I think that's a little silly. I don't want to play this game because when I think of turn-based video games, I think of Pokemon or I think of Fire Emblem, and those are the kinds of games I like. I honestly, looking back on it, P5 was kind of like Pokemon, but like edgy, right? You know, like you give Pikachu a gun. I didn't want to like do the social parts, but I actually ended up liking that the most. I didn't want to do the social parts because I work in a school, and I didn't want to do the part where Joker just like fucking sits around in class until he gets called on to answer a question, because that's literally like what I do for my day job, and I think that's stupid. And more importantly, I just came from playing like Final Fantasy 16, where Clive Rossfield, that is like a 34-year-old man, and now I gotta go play a 16-year-old Joker. I didn't want to do that shit. Here we go, first day of high school. I decided what I was gonna do was I was going to roleplay as my good friend David. See, what I had to do this because then I would not have been motivated to actually play this game. I would not have been motivated to finish this game, but my main motivation was I was going to play this game because David's favorite girl is Haru, and I know Haru is near the end of the game, and I'm like, if I get to the point where I can guide David David Persona 5 to David Real's favorite girl, that's gonna be close enough to the end where I can just finish the game. Everybody talks about why do I keep having problems continuing Persona. Part of that is because I just don't really feel like intrinsically motivated as an individual to play this game. I don't really feel like captured by the premise. I don't really feel captured by like wanting to like take revenge on like my gym teacher or whatever. It's not really important to me. Meet David Reyes-san. And so in my quest to min-max Persona 5, we're gonna take a lot of fucking ibuprofen. So the game plan is we're gonna go into every palace, we're gonna one-shot that shit, and then we're gonna go out and then we're just gonna hard grind social links all the way through until like the end of the game, and it's gonna be fantastic. We're eating burgers, we're hitting the batting cages, we're taking tons of ibuprofen, well past the point of mom is scared. And I had to do it. I really had to commit to this bit. I named the Phantom Thieves liver failure because committing to the bit is what keeps me going, and committing to the bit is what got me through this horrible game that took me like, I just stole like 90 hours of my time. I want that fucking time back. Also, I played Royale, and I did some math on how I think my personal ratings out of 10. These are my opinion. Like I said at the beginning, the good things are good and the bad things are really bad. I wanted to enjoy the plot, and P Studio was determined to make it so I don't enjoy the plot. So, you see on the y-axis here, at the top, we're having a great fucking time. At the bottom, this is worse than League of Legends solo queue. You need to understand I picked up this game because I lost so many games of solo queue in a row, and I said I think I need to play more single player games. I'm having a horrible fucking time right now, so I picked a single player game off my shelf, and I said, oh, I gotta make good use of this fucking $450 console that I got off of Facebook Marketplace. So I started playing. You can see on the x-axis, I sorted it by like point in the game. You can see there's like a lot of like highs, like reasonably high highs and like very low lows. I didn't really like ever feel super motivated to play this game is my problem. I never really like woke up and was like, oh yeah, I can't wait to like play more Persona today. It was more like I just got up on the weekends and I was like, okay, well I guess the hours that I put into Persona are like hours that get me closer to the finish line. It was like clocking into a fucking part-time job. I raid, guys. I raid for like 12 hours a week. I have more fun doing that than playing Persona. I think... Okay, listen, I wasn't having a good time, but I will say, you can see around like 0.8 here, where with Shido and Maruki, you can really tell when like the game just kind of like goes up in quality because like, you hit the royal section of the game and not like the base game Persona section. Why did they charge full price to re-release like, I don't know, 70 hours of a game, and then you pay $60 to get like 20 more hours? I feel like they didn't change enough of like the base game. I didn't really like play the base game, but the thing is I feel like I've absorbed enough of it through being on the internet that I know everything that happens, and also that I play the fucking game. Anyways, I didn't have fun. I have opinions, but we'll get to those later. Here's a visual interpretation of my joy over time. You can see here, I am not having fun. In fact, I'm having a horrible fucking time. I'm sad, I'm unhappy. Every time I wanted to like this game, Persona 5 would do something that would make me think, this fucking sucks. I would go in and be like, wow, Haru's story is really sad, where she has to like, be worried about what her father is going to do by selling her into a political economic marriage, and then her fucking fiance would come in and say, I love dating high schoolers as a fully grown adult, and I just had to sit there and read it, and internally I would read that and measure it up against years worth of reviews and like all my friends telling me that this was like the game and RPG of all time. Guys, I think you need to raise your standards on good plots, because here's the thing, not every game needs to be treated like peak literature. Not every game needs to be treated like it's a masterclass in storytelling. I think it's okay if games don't take themselves seriously. But like other M-rated games, like I don't know, fucking Metal Gear Rising. Do you think that game takes itself seriously? No. But it knows it's not doing that. Right? It knows what it's about. Persona 5, I think it has like an identity crisis in that regard. I I don't think you people should have touted this as a masterclass in writing. I think this game was way too heavy-handed with the shit it was trying to tell me. You know what it's trying to tell me? It's trying to tell me racism's bad. Or that's not fucking saying that. What's this? Capitalism is bad. Classism is bad. Oppression is bad. That, support Black Lives Matter. Free Palestine. Defund the police. But I also don't need a video game to tell me these things. And if it does tell me these things, I think it can do it better. Anyway, here's my thought on all the characters. Atlas writing fucking blows, guys. I played part of Catherine. Unfortunately, I know a lot about Persona 4 discourse because my best friend in high school explained to me some of it, and I just didn't process it until I became an adult and tried to play Persona 4 and was like, oh, this is that game. Atlas is scared of the LGBT, I think. They sure do love to queerbait. Unless if it's Catherine, in which Atlas is more willing to engage in discourse about trans identities than they are with gay people. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a good thing. In fact, to talk about trans discourse, to make what is normal more normal, putting it in spaces where stinky ass gamers aren't probably used to seeing that shit. I think that's a good thing. I just think it's weird. It's this very weird double standard of it's okay to talk about gender identity than it is to talk about sexuality when these are topics that intrinsically go hand in hand. But that's besides the point. That's just a thing. I don't know. I think Atlas is stupid. The writing team, they've never fucking talked to a woman before. I think it's really obvious. This is a complaint that you'll see circulated a lot. For example, in from what I've heard in P3, if you reject a girl, it locks you out of completing her social link, so you're forced to just go harem route for stats if you're min-maxing. Persona 5, I think the biggest example is when Anne tries to be like, oh man, I'm all alone, and your dialogue options are literally you have me versus you have the others. Why couldn't they say you have us? It's fucking weird, man. I'm autistic and I'm telling you, it's fucking weird. I don't know. It's not good. They just don't really know how to write characters. I don't like self-inserts. My biggest problem with these sorts of games is, when you have a protagonist, right? And that's fine. It's fine to have your specialist littlest boy that the whole game is about. I think that's fine. What I don't like is that when the specialist littlest boy is meant to specifically be the player, and then everybody's interaction is with the specialist littlest boy is to basically suck off the player and be like, wow, you're so cool, you're so awesome, I like everything you do, I love you. That's stupid. Do you know there's so many issues with this because one, you lose so much agency and characterization in the plot. The plot does not become driven by your protagonist, rather just kind of it makes your protagonist passive. They let things happen around them rather than actually being a driving force. Another thing is that they don't get to fucking use their mouth to make words. One exception to the self-insert thing would be Fire Emblem Engage, where you have Alear. I'm not saying that's a good plot, but you know what it is? It's earnest. It's very honest about what it's trying to do, and what it's trying to do is fucking have a vehicle for gameplay with that plot. You don't gotta pay attention to what's going on. They, at the end of the day, they put you on a map, they tell you to kill dudes, and Alear gets a cutscene where they say, I'm the Fire Emblem, with their whole fucking chest. And it's awesome, because they get to use their mouth to make words, they get to make decisions. The only real decision you make in that game, as a quote-unquote self-insert, is naming Alear. And that's a kind of exception, because at that point you're why even fucking have them be names, but I don't know. I think it just weakens your game as a whole, especially with Persona, where they just can't call your main character by their name. What I think it's especially egregious in a lot of
cutscenes where we're in the social aspect of the game where they have to dance around calling Joke or anything by saying our friend here or this guy or our leader, or in Palaces you can get away with because you can say Joker. That's different. But outside of the game, because as far as I'm aware, my impression is that Persona 5 is supposed to be two halves, where you do the social half and the thief half.
If you're cutting out one half of your game in terms of characterization, what are you doing, man? I don't like how, like, you know, I don't, if I'm on the, this is a personal opinion, if I'm on the outside looking in, if I'm like I'm fucking playing, I don't know, fucking Xenoblade, right? If I'm looking at Noah being the specialist littlest boy, that's different, because he's the main character, and he's like his own dude. He makes his own decisions. I'm just there for the ride. I'm not Joker. I don't make decisions for Joker. I don't like it when all the characters talk to me. Like, when characters talk to Joker, I feel like it's like some fucking dude at Atlas being like, they're like, some dude at Atlas is looking at me directly in the eyes, and they're like, Joker, do you want to date this girl? No, I don't want to fucking date that. I don't want to date the girl. I'm not Joker. The fuck? Alright, here's an defense of Persona 5's plot. Again, 8-year-old game. It's probably good at the time it came out. However, unfortunately, I am now an adult in 2024. I think it's shit. I cried at some parts of the game. I cry very easily though. But I did really feel a lot of, like, you know, I got emotional at some parts of the game. I think, like, the parts that it did well, it did really well. It did Futaba's palace well with, like, her mother. I think that's, like, something that I think a lot of people can, like, relate to, either, like, you know, maybe in their personal life or, like, with other people they know, in terms of, like, dealing with loss and grief. I think that's important. Haru, personally, I can't relate to that. I'm not getting married off to a pedophile. But it was sad, you know, I can still feel sympathy for that. I've been told that the spin-offs have good writing. I'm not playing that because my 3DS doesn't work, and I don't want to play a Muso game. And I just kind of don't really want to give P Studio more of my money when I could, like, be doing other things. Again, I wanted to quit so many times, but I had to remind myself I had to do this for David-san. I had to do it for his liver. And I had to make it to Haru. But throughout the entire time, Atlas would throw this fucking girl Kasumi at me and be like, don't you want to date this one? Listen, Mr. Stein said the whole time, I doubted him at first, but honestly he's right. He said the whole time that Violet is literally made for Joker. He's right. I don't think it's wrong for him to be right. I think it's just wrong for Atlas to do that. Here's my opinion. I think she should have been the playable female version of Joker. That's just my opinion. I don't know. That's a little too much for Atlas, though. They can't really do that. I wanted yaoi. I was told this game had yaoi. It kind of does. It has some queer baiting. It doesn't really have it full on though. But I'm just saying, plot-wise, where Maruki came in and told me he made a reality where I could be together with Akechi, that shit's gay as hell. Good for them. They gay as hell. Good for them. Good for them. Alright, here's a list of ways that Atlas treat women that piss me off. This is not comprehensive. This is just a thing I fucking cobbled together. Oh, Jesus Christ, I have to mute my email. This is a thing I cobbled together. I'm not gonna read all this. But it's true. I think all of this is really just objectively true. I'm not gonna get into arguments, though. I really don't care. The gameplay is fun. I liked the one more system. I'm not watching that, like, 2-hour video essay that talks about, like, the one more system being broken. I don't really care about that. I played it on normal because when I was, like, trying to play the game, like, when I was trying to get into it when I was, like, younger, I was like, oh, I'll just play in harder difficulties because I'm a fucking gamer. I'm employed. I don't have time to sit there for, like, 50-hour boss fights anymore. I'll put that shit on normal. If I get bored, I go pick up a DLC Persona, I make them blow up the boss fight. I don't care. I think one of the funniest things that can happen to you in this game is when you're minding your business and then you get jumped instead of you jumping them. Listen, the whole time I'm playing this game, I'm thinking to myself, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door Remake is coming out soon. I wish I was playing that. That was a fun game. You know, combat system was pretty similar, I'm not gonna lie. I like that game. That's a good game. You should get it. It's a good game. Soundtrack is fine. Here's a Spotify code. I will link it. I will link the actual post in the description. Like everybody said, it's good. Real ones remember when Joker was added to when Joker was added to Smash Brothers. They were like, "Oh, we could legalize mementos for the music." Guys, first of all, we're not legalizing that fuck ass stage. Secondly, I mean, like, yeah, the soundtrack's like good, but I think there is a whole world of audio out there that isn't just video game music. There is so much more to explore with jazz and rock and, I don't know, pop or rap or whatever the fuck Atlas makes. Be free. Listen to such a diverse amount of things. It would be so wonderful. It will change your life. Otherwise, yeah, soundtrack is fine. The visuals are good, you know? Listen, when this came out, everybody was like, holy shit, UI. They're right. Honestly, it held up. It's a little bit dated, but it held up. I would play it. I watched Joker fucking slap my screen every time he opened the menu. That was cool. The game looks fine. The visual effects were fine. I could read the text on my TV, which is good. I can't really do that sometimes. The only real issue I had is sometimes the Cyodyne attack. I thought that was gonna give me it was gonna give me like a seizure or something. I don't mean that in an ableist way. I do genuinely mean I felt a little lightheaded watching that sometimes. So I would have to look away when I did that. The wow factor is kind of like an X factor. It's just kind of like my subjective rating. It's Persona 5. I can appreciate it. I can appreciate what it did for gaming. And the localization is fine, but it is very like, it's not like 90s Pokemon anime. They're not talking about jelly donuts. One thing I did not consider, but I did like was the crossword puzzles. Those were cool. Like a nice little like vehicle to like teach you about Japanese culture. Personally speaking, I thought this was funny as hell. This probably was not intentional. the plane flying on 9/11 for the Hawaii trip. My God. Oh, Jesus. Atlas is going to make a world where Persona 5 lasts forever. To this day, I see Persona 5 and gacha crossovers. I see people talking about Persona 5 in Fortnite. I see all this shit. They made like anime. They're making movies. They already made like a dancing game, They made like a tactics game. They made like Q2. I mean, like what's next? What's next? Persona 5 Arena. Oh my God, please say yes. Related games, I will and will not play. I would play the shit out of a p5a. I am not gonna lie to you. I think I would play that. It would be Kuso as hell. I would play that. I would not play the dancing game. I would not play Strikers. I would not play the gacha. I would not play Q2. I would not play Tactica. I don't give a shit. Okay, I might play Tactica, but I don't give a shit about the rest of those. I would play Tactica because I like Fire Emblem. It's not because I like Persona. I really don't give a shit about that, to be honest. I would try P4. I've heard 4 is the best of them. I would try TMS Sharp FE, but unfortunately I've heard that's more like a Persona game than like a Fire Emblem game, so honestly I might move that to the no, I don't care section. I will, if you buy 3 for me, I'll play it, but this is not telling you to buy it for me. In fact, I think I would be happier if you do not buy this for me, because then I wouldn't have to play it. Okay? I'm not interested. What my experiences with a lot of people is that they would find out while I was playing this game, they would find out that I was playing P5 and I was not having a good time playing P5, and they would say, "Oh, you should try this one. I can try that one next. Or but if you try Tactics, that one's got better." I don't care, guys. I don't want to. I want to play the games I want to play. Here are games I could have played instead of Persona. I could have played Smashy Bros. I haven't touched that game fucking whole ass year. I could have played it. I could have played my backlog. You could see like all of it right fucking there. I could have played Emerald Rogue instead of the other one. Listen, man, I could have played more ranked. I think I would have been happier playing more ranked, to be honest, because I finished P5 and then I went to go play more ranked, and I felt happy because it was a change of pace. It was something new, and I didn't have to worry about like getting a cutscene where some fucking animator had to take the parts of a young woman who was not a fully grown adult and then put them in the screen. I didn't like that. That was weird. Listen, a fucking love me, my friends are my power kind of fucking game. I didn't like it in this game, and you're gonna hear this complaint a lot, and I'm just gonna echo chamber that shit. My fucking, the Persona 5, the friends that Joker makes, the Phantom Thieves, the Liver Failures, they're not like friends with each other. They're friends with Joker, okay? I've been told this gets fixed. I don't really care because I'm not gonna go see for myself. I'm glad it gets fixed. But they're not friends with each other. The most you get are like the show times, which I think is like a nice like change that Royale made from the base game, where like you get to see the characters interact with each other instead of interacting with only Joker. And I think it's a shame. I feel like they really like flopped on that level. One thing I remember from like playing Persona 4 was that like you got to do like group activities. You don't really get to do that in P5 probably because the cast is so fucking big. I mean, it's probably the same for the other games, right? I can't imagine it's any different. I don't know. Okay, that's it. I'm done.